Well, it's hard to believe it's 10 years now since 3FM has been on the air. I remember it well because I was working at the other station at the time, but it's flown by. George Ferguson, who, of course, Manx Radio from early days, went over to the UK, did your thing there, back to Manx Radio, and then became one of the first sort of people involved with this operation.
Yes, we looked at a second or a third service, and eventually it came to fruition just over 10 years ago. And we found this premises, built the studios, and started on the 17th of October, 10 years ago.
Do you think there was actually too much radio in the Isle of Man then? Yeah, having 3 services?
Well, we've survived, and we've all survived for 10 years. And you can only do that if you're making money. Manx Radio, of course, is a different ballgame. They get subvention, so it's not so important for them. But for us, it's sink or swim, and we're swimming.
You must have seen a lot of changes in radio over the time?
Over the years since I started. Well, when I first started, there was only tape. There were no cart machines. We had records, turntables. Now we don't have any records. We don't have any CDs. We don't have any moving parts whatsoever. We just have a computer. All these faders and buttons and things we don't touch. I touch that one, which is a microphone. That's it. And everything is on a hard drive, which is incredible.
I suppose, I mean, it's worth covering the Manx Radio part of this because of their celebrations. They're celebrating 50.
Yeah.
How did you start at Manx Radio?
I started in Manx Radio on the 23rd of July 1968. And the reason I wanted to be a disc jockey was because I hadn't got a clue what I wanted to be. My father was mortified. And I wrote to the governor of the Isle of Man, Sir Peter Stallard, and asked if he would give me a job or get me a job on Manx Radio, as the government owned Manx Radio. He wrote me a letter at school saying, P.S. I had a good game of golf with your father yesterday. So I knew I was in. So eventually I got a job at £4 a week at Manx Radio. And we were down at Reese's Snooker Hall, which is now the Tower House shopping place. And I arrived, and the next day I was put on air doing the weather. So it's nigh on 50 years ago.
My goodness.
I know. It's quite frightening, really.
I mean, you went over, it's a great excuse to use this picture I've got of you, which was when I was doing my O-level project. You went to BRMB, and that was a massive station, wasn't it? I mean,
it was.
Early days of commercial radio in the UK, needing presenters, I suppose.
The commercial stations started in the UK in 73, and the first one was LBC, followed by Capital, followed by Glasgow, followed by Birmingham, which is BRMB. So we were the 4th station on air, and it was pioneering time, because they hadn't got a clue what was going on. And I arrived from Manx Radio having done exactly what they wanted to do. But of course, being an obnoxious, precocious little brat that I was.
Still are. Some might say, sorry.
No. I'm just an eccentric old fart now. They suddenly said, well, what is Swap Shop? What is Lunchtime Lucky Dip? And I said, well, this is what happens. You do this, you do that. Oh, yeah, thank you. So the ideas that Manx Radio had, which were pioneering, and no one told us at Manx Radio what to do. We just invented it as we went along. Outside broadcasts. We did outside broadcasts. The TT. We covered the TT at various places. Ballacrane, Ballaugh Bridge, Hairpin, the Bungalow. And phenomenal foresight into doing these things in the early days. And Manx Radio has grown and has kept growing and doing its job for the Isle of Man.
I mean, you worked at other stations, big stations.
I worked at BRM, Beacon in Wolverhampton, WM, BBC in Birmingham, Radio 2 in London.
So then, after all that, you came back to the Isle of Man?
Yep, and started Radio TT, which was Ron and I started Radio TT and worked at it for 20 odd years and built it up. And then there's a change of structure at Manx Radio, and I left and started this.
Anyway, back to 10 years. What's going to happen with radio? And, you know, will you be seeing 20 years? I presume you hope to see 20 years and that sort of thing. And is this now here as part of the Isle of Man's infrastructure?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, 3FM is here. It's solid as a rock, and it's going forward. It's got a good fan base, and I can see no reason for it not progressing. Myself, I won't be. I'll be gone. I mean, I intend. I shouldn't say. I intend to retire when I've done 50 years in front of the microphone, which is in 2018.
Okay.
That's when I intend to retire.
That's a scoop. We got it there.
If I don't win the lottery beforehand.
Okay.
And then you won't see me for dust.
Okay. Well, I know you're having a big birthday bash on Friday's full of giveaways. So all the best, and it's amazing, isn't it? Just how it all happens.
It's a strange old life.